welcome back to another episode of The Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and today is an amazing day. I get to sit down with some of the distinguished gentlemen of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. Today I have some gentlemen fondly known as the Wisconsin Sigmas. I have Brother Elliott Anderson and Brother Stephen Brown. And I am so looking forward to spending some time with them today and hearing more about the work that they are doing in Milwaukee, cold Milwaukee. But first and foremost, as I always do, I take a quick moment to pause and say thank you to you for making time for me today. Time is a gift. Once we give it, we cannot get it back. So I appreciate you for making time to sit down with me. And with that, Wisconsin Sigmas, welcome to the show.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Now, as we get started, as I always do, I like to go around and ask, how long have you been a Sigma man and where did you pledge?
Well, I was initiated at the University of Akron Alumni Chapter in 2001. Don't make me count the years. What is that? 23?
23, okay.
Yeah, I guess I've been doing it for a while.
For a minute.
Yeah, but I joined the fraternity at the University of Wisconsin Whitewater in spring 1988. So I just celebrated 35 years, going on 36 years in a couple of weeks.
Awesome. So when you gentlemen this was all undergrad, right?
All undergrad, yes.
Okay. So were the other Divine Nine on the yard at the time? What was it about Phi Beta Sigma that you said this is where I belong?
Yeah, when I came through Whitewater, I think at the time we had the alphas, particularly for fraternities. We had the alphas and we had the omegas. And Whitewater would always recognize incoming freshmen in regards to some of the work that they were doing and what they saw them being potential leaders in the organization. And that just resonated with me. One, I was recognized as an outstanding freshman by the fraternity. But I just saw the work they were doing. I saw that they were men about business. They were graduating. They were having leadership roles. I grew up with no biological brothers. And so when I saw these men who were around my age, but seemed to have a whole different level of maturity at the same time, could step their butt off and could party like there was no tomorrow. I just felt like that was an organization that I wanted to seek membership into.
Yeah, I remember back at freshman year, you said like many step shows. You Sigmas can do a thing or two.
Yes, ma'am. We still can.
Still can.
Brother Anderson.
Yeah, well, it started for me at Ohio State. I spent my first 3 years of college at Ohio State. In my freshman year, we were involved in a non-Greek step show. And so a bunch of us were just practicing. Some guys came along and, were just showing us some steps. I didn't know who they were. They introduced themselves. They didn't even say what fraternity they belonged to. But they helped us out. I come to find out later that they were Sigmas. And anytime that we were trying to do something around campus, and again, I wasn't aspiring to be Greek at that time, but anytime we were trying to accomplish something on campus, members of Sigma would always step up and help us out and engage us. They did not make us feel like they were apart from us. We really would build those relationships. Transferred to the University of Akron, and I experienced the very same thing, where I saw brothers active both in the chapter and across campus, and that really appealed to me. And I came to realize that at least on Akron's campus, that it was very difficult to really accomplish a lot of things in the Black community without great support. And again, that intrigued. So I began to look into Sigma, and the rest is history.
There you go. All righty. Now, as far as your particular chapter, your alumni chapter in Milwaukee, some folks like me might not think that there's a very large Black population in Wisconsin in the first place, but you guys have been around there for quite some time. What year did your chapter come into to be?
Yeah, we actually just this past summer celebrated 60 years of our charter within Milwaukee. So, if you date that back, it tells you that we have been around here since the mid 60s. And our chapter the Alumni Chapter actually is the oldest part of even before the collegiate chapters. We were first established through our Alumni Chapter, and then subsequently the collegiate chapters came to follow.
Okay, so your chapter is responsible for being advisors to some of the undergrad chapters in the area?
Then and now, absolutely.
Oh, okay. Right. So who do you guys have the responsibility of babysitting?
Babysit. Very distinguished about this, particularly at the chapter that Steve Brown came from, 𝗙𝗘𝗥𝗘𝗏 chapter of the University of Whitewater. And we also have a citywide chapter here in the city of Milwaukee, positive chapters at UWM, University of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee, University of Parkside, and Marquette. Right. Another school that Steve has a degree from.
Well, Lana, we also have, so that's our chapter, our advisors for, but we also have both another alumni and a collegiate chapter at University of Wisconsin-Madison as well.
Oh, okay. So there's 2 alumni chapters in this
state.
Oh,
right.
Oh, in the state. Okay.
Right.
Okay. I got you. I'm learning.
So there's actually a third one that.
Well, that's true. That's true.
𝗙𝗘𝗥𝗏𝗏 that is trying to establish itself.
I just did not think that was there many. Just my ignorance.
Let's be real clear. It's a whole lot of us.
There's a whole bunch. I'm just gonna come and visit, be like, oh, there you go. There's
right. No, sometimes there's a little bit too many of us, but no.
Okay, we're not gonna speak on that. Okay, well, let me get to.
I think this is an important point about Milwaukee in particular. I mean, a lot of people across the country think Milwaukee. They think, there's no Black folks up there. Well, I think for anybody who lives here, they would the notion. Black folks are all over the place, particularly on the north side here in the city, and there's a very rich culture here.
Okay, every Black city has a north side. Okay,
that's right. Whenever you find a Martin Luther King Drive, there's probably a
there we go.
Urban community not too far away from
there you go. I hear the call of my people. All right. Well, let me get into some of the amazing work that I saw you gentlemen do. One of the foundational principles that Phi Beta Sigma sits on is service. And I see you gentlemen are doing a phenomenal job. So I wrote down just a few of the projects that you're working on. And the first one I want to touch on, because I see that the deadline is coming up soon. So could somebody discuss the foundation that you have and the academic scholarship that you gentlemen give out?
Yeah, I'm going to speak briefly, and then I'm going to turn it over to Steve and give him some more accolades here. Several years back, we established a foundation for a number of philanthropic purposes, primarily around pushing education and that sort of thing. As part of that, we had some brothers establish a scholarship fund and a program to continue to raise dollars to fund that scholarship. And Brother Steve has been a key to, making that work. For the first 3, 4, 5 years of that program, Steve served as the chair of the committee that executes the fundraising as well as the awarding of the scholarship. And we're very appreciative for the work that he's done. So every year, we're giving away $1,000 scholarships to multiple students, and typically we will have other students who shine, and they aren't necessarily our top awardees, but we try to also provide grants for them as well.
Okay.
Yeah, Brother Anderson, I will also add this, that when we first decided we would be very intentional in regards to the scholarship, we also identified that we want to go beyond just a scholarship. So we officially named it Father, Mentors, and Scholars. So we thought it was really important that individuals knew that it really takes a village in order to raise a scholar. And we wanted to also let people know that fatherhood played an important role into that, and the importance of identifying as a mentor. So it really was more than just the multiple scholarships that Brother Anderson talked about. It really was, we're trying to create a movement. And I will say, I think that COVID interfered with some of the work of the gathering, but we're really proud that even through the couple of years of COVID, COVID, we actually still gave out scholarships, and that's really important. And we also try to really keep track of those students that receive scholarships. We're not necessarily interested in recruiting them into the organization. That'd be fantastic. It's more important that they can see Black men like themselves who have, in the most part, have finished undergrad degree, finished graduate school. They see us having a brotherhood, a bond. So when they go on to school, because some of these youth are still first generation, and so just having a connection that that they can aspire to kind of think about and pay forward as they matriculate through college.
Okay. So are there academic requirements for them to receive the scholarship?
Go ahead, Brother Anderson.
Yeah, so currently students, they have to be high school graduated male seniors. They have to have at least a 2.5 GPA, and they have to be attending high school in Milwaukee County.
Oh, okay. Now,
probably the one change that we made from that was when we first started to give these scholarships out, we actually just had it open to, it wasn't gender specific. So we really opened that one. And then we made the intentional decision that we were going to identify young men who met the criteria that Brother Anderson talked about. So that was something that we discussed, because I was very fortunate that even my daughter, the first year, was a scholarship recipient. And so I saw the benefits associated with it. But as an organization, we just wanted to, in some cases, encourage young Black men who are pursuing post-secondary education to apply for this one. So we made the decision that we would move to a gender-specific scholarship.
Great, great.
Yeah, they changed it right before my daughter graduated.
Oh, look.
I wasn't going to add that part.
I could have used that money. That could have paid a light. So is it just for four-year institutions, or could the student go to a trade school? Is it just for 4 years?
Yeah, that's a great question. Initially, it was a four-year university, and then we started to think much more broadly that we recognize that in some cases, you might start at a community college or a 2-year program to pick up a trade or to get your associate degree, and you move on. So we open it up in regards to if you're looking for a trade, you go to a junior college, or you direct to a 4-year university. So we made it broad, so we weren't limiting opportunities to support them financially.
Oh, okay. And students,
yeah, our goal is really to help as many young men get to reach their dreams and to do positive things in the community. I mean, I think initially we started applying, some rules relative to what we apply to people who join our organization, necessarily who we're targeting. We're trying to make sure that young men who may not have all of the opportunities get opportunities based off of things that we can help them do.
And the deadline is coming up soon. I saw, right?
Yes, April 6th, I think.
Okay. All right, so we got to get them. Okay. All right. Well, let me move on before I take up all your time this evening. One of the other projects that I saw you gentlemen, working on is you have a partnership with Hope House Ministries, and you are bringing smiles to some young folks during the holidays. What are you gentlemen doing there?
So that's another activity that we've been doing for a while, another service project that we've been doing for a long time. I think like a lot of people, making sure that during the holidays, young kids have the joy of Christmas. And so we hold a toy drive annually to gather some toys and to provide those to the whole house. I believe we've had other partnerships before in the past. The Hope House was the partner this year.
Oh, okay. So you partner with different organizations every Christmas?
Not necessarily. It's not necessarily to be different, but it has been different of time. And so this year has been the Hope House. I think we've been with the Hope House for the last couple of years.
Yeah, one of the reasons that we moved to the Hope House is that we found that Hope House actually tends to really kind of identify families. And so it was a really important piece that we recognized that if a family is finding themselves in that situation, the opportunity for us to then give gifts to the kids who are in a situation that's really powerful to us, and we really can then be really intentional in regards to who's receiving it and why they're receiving it. So if I'm not mistaken, this is probably year number 4 or 5 in regards to the Hope House, where we've been doing the Toys for Tots for quite some time.
Okay, making the baby smile. All right. So y'all come in there with your blue Santa Claus hats on and everything?
Definitely not since COVID. We've in the past made visits to drop off the toys. I think in the past few years, we've only had a couple of brothers drop off the toys to the partner organization. And they'll take pictures with some of the recipients. But we do intend to, we were actually having conversations along those very lines.
Oh, so precious. So precious, so precious. Well, let me move on, because y'all got a lot of stuff going on, and I ain't got enough time to cover it all. But now everybody know, well, at least I know, because I've been around y'all for a minute. Sigmas can get suited and booted, and I see y'all recently gave your suits out to some folks. What was that all about?
Yeah, that's called 𝗙𝗘𝗥𝗘𝗏. And so, again, that's another event that we've done for quite some time. Interesting enough, though, we had interruption. We decided that we weren't going to continue with that particular idea. And one of the chapter brothers brought it to us saying, when before I joined the organization, I saw the Sigmas was doing 𝗙𝗘𝗏𝗏𝗏, and we should really bring that back. We're like, all you have to say is a word. So we, one of our fraternity brothers owns a sports bar here, and so we made that kind of the ground zero. We had individuals bring in suits and jackets and clothes and just various pieces there. But part of, again, really one of the initiatives there, and we've given those items to several organizations as well. But it was really much more making sure that we can remove some barriers that individuals might have in regards to when they may go out and interview or when they are going to different functions. And so it's this intentionality in regards to how can we really assist those who might need some assistance. And we've actually broadened that up. Well, majority of the clothes are for men. Our sister organization, and also kind of helped us in regards to maybe expand that more. But we really want to be very intentional in regards to how we're able to support men as they looking to transition either from job to job or into the workforce. And that's really was the initial cause. And it remains something important to us.
Okay. So you assist them in having the proper attire for interviews and stuff. Do you also, because you guys are professional men, give them the interview training or help them with the kind of prep for that, or?
We haven't.
Oh, please go ahead.
We haven't as part of our current program, but that is actually something that our association committee has looked at to expand 𝗙𝗘𝗏𝗏𝗏 in particular to go beyond just the suit.
Okay, all right. Well, let me touch on one last initiative before I pry into y'all business some other way here. But one of the things that Phi Beta Sigma fraternity has, the initiatives that it has nationwide, is you guys are very supportive of Black business. And I see your chapter has been holding that down over the years. So could you explain this nationwide initiative that Phi Beta Sigma has and how businesses in the Wisconsin area might get in touch with you if they wanted to be a part?
So we have a program that we call Black Spend. And basically it's a focus to get people to think about where they spend their dollars. Lots of other communities spend their money in their communities, and we want to make sure that Black folks in particular do the same. It became very clear, especially during COVID, that a lot of our businesses and small businesses were struggling through that time. And so we had a brother who was leading up our Bigger and Better Business program here at the time, who kind of pushed us in that direction, and we've kind of grown that over time. So there are actually two components historically. One is to actually drive people to businesses and track the dollars that are being spent at these Black businesses. And then the other thing is to promote those Black businesses. So right around Christmas, while we're doing our toy drive and all of that kind of thing, we're making sure that the last 12 days that we are recognizing businesses that are out in the community doing things and encourage people to shop and use those businesses during the holiday season.
So you both of you have mentioned COVID a couple of times. Did COVID impact the chapter much at all? Did you guys have to kind of cease operations all around, or?
No, during COVID, we continue to work. We're doing a lot of virtual things like we're doing right now.
Okay.
I'm an introvert, so I worked well in COVID.
No.
No.
How can you be the fearless leader, and does that work well?
It does. You would be surprised that many great leaders identify themselves as being introverts.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about Sigma is that I always found that I could be who I wanted to be. We have a lot of very diverse brothers. So there are a lot of extroverted brothers who would like to get out and socialize and engage. And then there are other brothers who, while I enjoy leading and I'm focused on the work, I am not necessarily, a super social guy. And so there's room for all of those different personalities in Phi Beta Sigma. And I'm fortunate to have a lot of brothers who do like to socialize to pull me out of my shell a little bit. And I'd like to think that I bring something to the table and I can show brothers how to conduct business, how we want to execute our plans within the chapter. So it's a collaboration between us all. It works pretty well.
Well, since you're talking about leadership, let me ask you this. As I mentioned, you are the fearless leader. Is it easy or challenging to get all these brothers on the same page, or does everybody does everybody cooperate?
Well, I will say, so every chapter is different. And I've been in a few. 𝗙𝗘𝗥𝗘𝗏 Sigma is one of the best chapters that I've been in. It's in Wisconsin. So, I get on these Wisconsin brothers, but I have to give them their credit. When I showed up here, the brothers kind of rolled out the carpet. They made me feel at home. I always had the opportunity to, take some initiative, take the lead on something. No one came to the table with egos to try to prevent ideas like that from flowing. Everybody's very supportive. So I love 𝗙𝗘𝗥𝗘𝗏 Sigma, and I have to give brothers their props here. As far as leadership, the biggest thing about leadership is continuing to keep brothers focused on what's important, and making sure that brothers have room and opportunity to display their talents within the chapter. And so that's what I'm focused on as president.
Now, you mentioned that we were talking pre-interview here that you're considered the elder of the chapter. Who else would outrank you in the chapter? Are you the oldest member oldest in Sigma Brotherhood in the chapter? Or is
No, we probably have. I will say that, well, two things to that one. One, I'm not the oldest. We have a couple that came through a couple years before me. But we also are very intentional in regards to even how we grow our chapter, that we bring brothers coming from collegiate to the alumni chapter, but we've also have some experienced men that come through our alumni chapter as members of the organization. And so, but I think I'm old enough to recognize that leadership doesn't necessarily always just come with years in the organization. There's also what you bring to the table based on your professional life or some other things that you have done with that one. So that really is what we're looking for. I also, I try to be also very intentional that because I have been in this organization for over 35 years, that when you're confident to step back, so others can step up. And so ultimately, we want to make sure that if you've been a brother for one day or 35, 36 years, the opportunity for you to lead can happen immediately. So we just this past fall brought 6 new members into our alumni chapter, and you have individuals who just graduated from undergrad in 2023 to individuals who are in their late 40s, and so we bring those in, and they start working right away within the organization. It's important for us that you be more than a member, but you are ready to step up with our support to become leaders, not only within our fraternity, but more importantly, are you leaders within the community? Are you leaders within, even as you want to grow your career? Like, I'm going to boast for a moment. Like, we are very fortunate in the city of Milwaukee that our chief of police is a fraternity member of ours. The superintendent of Milwaukee Public School is a man of Sigma. The most recent superintendent of Racine, which is about 40 minutes from Milwaukee, is a man of Sigma. So we recognize that while the organization, we want leadership, we also want that leadership. We don't want the best kept secret. We want that leadership to go beyond the fraternity. And what are you doing to impact change within our community or within the organizations that you may be part of?
You guys are really in the community doing stuff. All right, go blue and white. All right. But how large is the chapter?
We have 45 members right now. It's still early in the year, so we expect to be up around 50 or 60 by the time.
Oh, the way you're talking, I thought there was like 200 guys in the chapter. Okay.
Well, we definitely have a lot of brothers in the area. And again, one of the challenges that we have as leadership is to bring brothers back into the fold.
Yeah. Life be life, and so
That's
sometimes it's hard. Yeah. Okay. Well, Phi Beta Sigma is very unique when it comes to the Divine Nine because constitutionally, you are the only frat that is linked to some beautiful ladies. Can you explain the history behind that?
When you say beautiful ladies, you mean finer womanhood, right?
Yeah, finer womanhood. So could you please explain the history behind that?
So we were founded in 1914, and one of our founders and his brother worked with the founders of Zeta Phi Beta to establish that great. We love our sorors, and here in the city of Milwaukee, we have two chapters, Zeta chapters, Kappa Beta Zeta and Sigma Alpha Zeta.
How does it work out if you're at an undergrad and there's no Zetas on campus? Y'all don't have no sisters to hang out with, right?
We travel.
Okay.
Elliott is kind of joking, but that is true. I mean, one of the things that you see a lot within Wisconsin, because for the most part, Blacks are in Southeast Wisconsin. So it just isn't unusual for us to hit Madison or for us to go to Oshkosh or for the Zetas to do the same. And so we also will say that it only takes a few of us. And so if you have one Zeta on the chapter, if you have one Sigma on the chapter, you recognize that your sorors and your frat will be there to support you because it really, we see this as something that we want you to grow and that we have to be part of that. So we do travel a whole lot. We just support of it. It's just, we're stronger when Z5B Sigma are together.
There are a lot of occasions where one is a seed for together, where the Zetas will show up on a campus, they'll begin to grow, and they'll pull Sigmas into that particular campus. And so it works both ways.
I love it. Okay. Well, let me ask you, gentlemen. I think I have two more questions here before I ask you my random question. Changes is a constant part of life, right? And you gentlemen have been around Phi Beta Sigma for some years now, and I'm pretty sure you've seen the fraternity grow and evolve over the years. Do you have any hopes, desires, some things you would like to see the fraternity do moving forward? Any changes you would like to see take place?
I think the biggest thing, and it's not just Sigma, but as any organization, is to recognize and focus on something that you are very good at executing on. And so we have a very broad program in Sigma. And at times we can kind of lose focus or lose momentum on some of the programs. So I'd like to see us really focus on things that, where we're having a really strong impact and to grow those programs rather than be, very broad in our program.
You gentlemen have credit unions and all kinds of things, right?
We do.
And I would keep the credit union. I think that is a very important tool in our tool belt. And it's one of those things that has been around for a very long time. But there are other programs that we have where, as administrations change, people have different ideas, and it's important to bring those to the table. But we have to figure out what our focus is going to be during any given time and really drive that.
Any hopes for the future for Phi Beta Sigma?
Yeah, I would add to that we have to balance making sure that the organization continues to be here for another 110 years. And we have to make sure that we continue to have a voice out in the community when you think about this social justice. And so, and certainly this being a major election year, what's the role of Sigma that will cause maybe first-time voters to come out and to really make sure that they express their voice. So I just want to make sure that Sigma isn't just within the Phi Beta Sigma, but it becomes how do you continue to impact that, the greater mankind, and what role do we play there, and not in a passive way. So in my humble opinion, kind of to Elliott's point, sometimes each administration comes through and they have their own agenda, which we understand, but there should always be the role of Sigma beyond Phi Beta Sigma. And that really is my hope, is that we never lose our voice. In fact, our voice becomes stronger, and that we earn the right to demand more because we have demonstrated why more is in demand.
Great, awesome. You just mentioned voting. Will you gentlemen be out in the community rallying up the troops for voting?
Yeah, this is a very important election. So election work is very important to our chapter and the Sigma in general. And so we work in this election season with our seniors of Zeta Phi Beta, working in election polls and helping to the people to vote.
Great. Yeah, because a lot is riding on this election here. My very last question before I ask you my random question, and it's a reflection question. When it comes to the foundational principles of Phi Beta Sigma, the pillars that it sits on, the brotherhood, this 20, 30 years that you gentlemen have been in the interfold, how would you say that it has impacted you as a man, as a person?
I mean, I really believe in Phi Beta Sigma and what it represents, and that's where it starts. And this is what I try to impress upon all my brothers, right? That we have the opportunity to work together to share our talents and to achieve something that we could not do on our own, right? And so we are always continuing to figure out what is important to have an impact on people outside of blue and white, right? We are a part of the community, not apart from. So what is it that we can do to best help those who
need? Listen, when I joined the organization in the late 80s, I had no idea what I didn't understand what lifetime meant. And I also didn't understand what role I would be playing as being in that lifetime. Right. And so I think what I'm humbled by is I'm as eager to display brotherhood, scholarship, and service, even now, more so than I was when I joined back 35 years ago. Listen, you have options to always opt out. And that has not been something I wanted to do. I'm proud of the work that I think for me, I have learned how to be a leader, be a brother, really grow in a safe space. So then when I'm in a space that is not familiar to me, the level of confidence. I also appreciate that, my professional background is human resources. So I recognize even as I'm in spaces, and you may be a man of Sigma, but if you have Greek affiliation, this to me, that is even a broader community that you have here. I didn't know that back in '88, but I've just seen the power of networking and growing. And we might battle each other in regards to who's the best. We know what the best is, but we may battle who's the best. But we also just really appreciate that we are doing work that is beyond us.
Great. I like that. one last. I said I had that was going to be it, but I lied. Let's say you gentlemen were standing in front of a little young tyke, maybe an elementary school guy, and he was looking at you two with big eyes and saying, "One day I want to be like one of these blue and white men." What advice would you tell him to properly direct his path into becoming a Sigma man in his future?
My first and most important thing is to get him to understand to be a man first, right? Um, in order to be a Sigma, to be a productive Sigma, is that you have to know who you are, know what you're about. And the strongest Sigmas know that. The brothers who tend to struggle are those who they are is in conflict with Phi Beta Sigma and its principles, and they tend to fall to the wayside or not make it through.
Gotcha.
But that's first and foremost. I'm going to look him and say, hey, here's how you got to be a man. Be truthful to yourself, love other folks, have a strong character, develop those attributes, and strong men will gravitate towards Sigma. It just is what it is.
Yeah, listen, I can't add more to that. I mean, Ellie and I didn't practice this answer, but I promise you, I was going to say something identical. Sigma would be here. We need for you to focus on what do you want to be known as? What is your character? What will people say about you? And as you develop that, then we will be here if this is an organization for you. I'm probably more impressed of your character and the things that you worked on, that the challenges you've gone through and how you figure those pieces out, even if you never become a man of Sigma, but you become a man that can get back to the community. The man has decided to take care of the family, take care of the broader community. And so I rather see you to be a quality man than to be a man who does not know who he is and then want to seek membership into our organization.
I like that. I like that. Awesome, guys. Awesome, guys.
And this is real talk. This is real talk. This is who we listen. When we think about Sigma, for me, one of the things that also attracted me to this organization is I didn't have to become anything other than who I was and the best version of me. I didn't have to, decide that I had to transform into something that fit in. What I love about this organization is that it's not about fitting in, we add. And so the components of who you are increases us as an organization. And so that's something that I just hold true. And I think it's really important that many of my brothers react and feel the same way.
And I would assume that that makes a great organization when everybody brings their best self to the table. So
that's right.
let me ask you my random question. So hopefully you gentlemen will like it. If not, I'll pull another one for the next one. So let's see what we've got here. How many days past the expiration date before you throw out the milk?
I don't mess around with milk. It gets pretty bad pretty quickly. Maybe I give it a day. But milk doesn't last very long around here. I don't know if you can see, but I'm a heavier guy, so
you got young folks in the house still too. You mentioned your daughter in college, so I'm assuming that
like right now, my youngest daughter is here, and she doesn't really drink a lot of milk. But when my oldest daughter comes home, there are Sam's Club sized boxes of cinnamon toast crunch, and she goes
the milk in the big bowl. Okay, yeah, I got you.
She probably doesn't put on the weight like me, but she will smash those bowls.
You want another question, or you want to answer this one?
Give me another one, because I pretty much have the same answer as him. So I want to give me another one.
Okay, let's see what we got. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? Besides a Sigma, probably, right?
Actually, I did not know I wanted to be a Sigma until I got to college. I had no idea of fraternity life at all.
Did you know what fraternity was before you went to college? Did you know?
Absolutely not. Oh, okay. Absolutely not. No, not at all. I wanted to be a businessman, and literally, I tell people the story that my undergrad degree is in finance, and I didn't own a car my first 2 years after I graduated from college, and so I would walk to the bus stop, and I would have a briefcase, and there was nothing in that briefcase. But but in my head, it was successful Black man owns a briefcase. And so I had my suit that was probably ill-fitted, but I always had a nice little briefcase. I just love that piece in regards to, and I want to work downtown. I want to work downtown. I want to wear a briefcase. I want to be because I come from humble beginnings, and I just didn't know. Listen, my goal was to finish high school and go to college, and it was not because I saw people around me do that, but I just knew that was something that I had the capacity to do. And so I had kind of one small goal after the other, but ultimately it was to be a business person and carry. I thought my briefcase would be full, but I had nothing put in it, but I was gonna walk around with it. Right.
You got to believe in yourself. If nobody else believes in you, you got to believe in yourself. And look at me now, right?
Right. No,
right.
It's been it's been a good path.
Finance to HR. Who does that?
So I worked at a bank after college, and part of the bank had a rotation program. So I got into the rotation program, and then I would help the bank recruit for other folks to come into the rotation program. And I just found that opportunity for me to help people put their careers together just became pretty natural to me. And so I made the transition from finance to HR. I got my master's in human resources, and I just found like this is my sweet spot.
All righty, gentlemen. Well, I'm going to let you go. Is there anything coming up in the Milwaukee area that you gentlemen will be involved in that, if we happen to be out that way, we can hang out with you guys? Well, when it warms up for me, because I'm not coming out there when it's cold, but maybe somebody. Any events coming up that folks can partake in?
Well, right now we're focused on raising money for the scholarship. So we have a reception that we hold to recognize the students in May, and we'll be planning some other social activities between now and then.
And how do we connect with you? Your website, social media? Could you give us the links, please?
So you can find all of our access by going to the dsx1914.org. And at the bottom of the page, you'll have access to our Facebook link. We are also on Instagram, so please, by all means.
All righty. So you're going to work to get your introverted president, out there more, right? Okay.
I'm working on it.
He's very intentional about where he shows up, how he shows up, and so we appreciate that. Listen, before we wrap, I just want to thank you for reaching out and having these discussions and bringing awareness to not only what men are doing within the community, but what fraternities are doing in the community. I think sometimes you get a bad rap in regards to the absence of a Black man, and we just have a lot of powerful Black men that are tied to the D9. And so just for you to decide this, you're going to be really bold and celebrate this space. I just want to make sure I give you your flowers and say thank you for recognizing and reaching out to us.
Thank you. You guys are amazing. I don't know why everybody else doesn't know how amazing you are, but I appreciate you. And I'm pretty sure your Zetas, they understand, and the wives and all of that stuff. So I think you're amazing. I'm just doing my part, and you guys keep on being amazing. When it warms up, you might see little old Lana out there, hey. And I appreciate you gentlemen so very much. And with that, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lana.
That is all for this week's episode of The Male Perspective. I'm your host, Lana Reid, and I will see everybody next time.